Hello students, we'll start with the academic year 2020. I, Archana Said, is going to take your subject object oriented programming. So before going into the details of OOP, we'll see what all are the topics in the syllabus. So this is the contents of unit number 1, which is heading as fundamentals of object oriented programming, and in this we are going to see the overview of procedural, modular, generic and object oriented programming techniques, limitations of these programming languages so that there is a need of OOP and different OOP paradigms. Then we'll see the applications, benefits of OOP, and then we'll start with the actual C++ programming. So starting with the basics and the C++ functions. So this is the overview of unit number 1 that we are going to see in subsequent slides. I will be giving some demonstrations also through the online C++ compiler. So the course objectives are to explore and understand the principles of OOP, use this OOP paradigm to design a program, or you can say an application, provide object-oriented programming insights using C++. So this, you can say that the CPP is the base of OOP, object-oriented programming, in order to develop any kind of application and to lay a foundation for advanced programming. So C++ is the base of OOP. So if you know the basic syntaxes and how the code can be developed by using CPP, you can go or you can opt for any object-oriented programming language. So these are the some of the objectives, and at the end of curriculum, what all will be the outcomes that are analyze the strengths of OOP, design and apply OOP principle for effective programming languages, develop the application using OOP. So objective of this syllabus is you will be able to develop application using CPP, apply object oriented concepts for advanced programming. So if you know the CPP concepts, then it is very easy to map these concepts into any advanced programming language. So these are nothing but the objectives and outcome of object oriented programming as a syllabus. So to begin with, in the first unit or in the first lecture, we'll see what is C++, applications, a simple CPP program, some more detailing about C++, compiling and linking. The order may be changed, but these are the contents of CPP. So we'll quickly go through the history of C++. It is an extension of C. So if you know C language, then it is very easy to code in CPP. It has been developed by Bajarne Stroustrup in Bell Laboratories in 1980s. This provides the capability of object-oriented programming. The base of any object-oriented programming is objects. Everything is moving around the objects. So what is mean by object? It is a reusable software component. It models the item in real world. Then you can say that it is having some C kind of structure also, and it is some kind of object oriented style also. So you can say this is a combination of C and OOP concepts. So this is a hybrid programming language. The application suitable for developing different editors, compilers and databases. The compilers are written in C++. So now what is mean by compiler? It is a kind of translator which is going to translate the high level language into the machine level language, which machine can understand. In the next subsequent slides, we will see what is mean by compilation processes. Then it can create the hierarchy of related objects. So different set of objects which are related to each other can be created using this. It is used to map the real world problems. So what all real world problems are there, those problems can be mapped using CPP. Easy to maintain and expand. As the program is developed using classes and objects, it is very easy to maintain. Maintain means what? If at all there are errors, the errors are easy to rectify. And if you want to add any functionality, the functionality can be added easily. That is what is meant by expand ease. And it is a general purpose language. So right from small application to the any kind of biggest application, this CPP can be used. So these are about the applications of CPP. Before starting for any program, we will see the basic requirements of any programming language. First of all, a comment. This comment is used to document a particular program. Means if you are writing anything, for what purpose you have written that has been indicated by comments. And the comments are not compiled by compiler, they are just ignored. So why do we write comments? The comments are written for the user purpose. User should be able to understand for what purpose I have written that line. Let me tell you what is mean by comment is with a small program. Now let's say suppose this is the sample code. Now if I write here cout and if I want to print hello world, so this is my simple program to display hello world. So for what purpose I am writing this, that should be commented. So what this is going to do, it is going to print hello world on output screen. So this is nothing but the comment. This part is called as comment. So this is for documentation purpose. Yes. So there can be a single line comment or it can be a multi-line comment. Single line comment means the comment which spans only a single line, and multi-line means the more than one lines can be included in a comment. So how it can be given? It is given in a pair of slash star and star slash. So this is multi-line comment. Here you can write anything. So this is a multi-line comment. So double slash is a single line comment, and a multi-line comment which is having starting comment and ending comment, wherein for single line comment there is only starting comment, special symbol, that is a slash. Moving ahead, the comments are not compiled by the compiler. Preprocessor directive. This preprocessor directive begins with a special symbol which is called as hash. You might be knowing this. For C language also we have used this. So if I say hash include, so this is a preprocessor directive, means before compilation, what is the meaning of this directive that has been related to this program is known to the compiler. So hash include IO stream. So this IO stream is input output stream. So for taking the output, displaying the taking the input, displaying the output, all these are the input output related functionalities which are declared and defined in a special kind of file which is called as a header file. So if I want to make use of this cin, cout, std, all these things in my program, there has to be some reference in my program so that the compiler will understand that this is inbuilt. So for this purpose, this IO stream is required, and this has been resolved by the directive, and which begins with hash symbol. So this is a directive which begins with hash, and it is processed by preprocessor before compilation. So a very simple program, hash include IO stream. Let me clear one thing. From compiler to compiler, this line is going to change. I mean iostream.h or iostream. So if you go for a normal CPP command prompt, you may require to include this hash iostream in double quotes with the extension. If you go for Eclipse, it may not be required, but IOStream is compulsory. Only how you are going to include it is different. Followed by main function. So this main is the entry point of any single CPP program. So integer main, std cout, welcome to CPP. Return 0 and you will get output as CPP. Now what is the meaning of this std :cout? As I told you, every input output related functionalities are included in a header file IOStream, and this is been declared in a namespace or in a restricted area which is called as a namespace, and that namespace is given name as a std. Either you can go for this syntax or you can go by using directive. So here we have shown using namespace std, and directly you can say cout hello world. And if you are not using this using directive, then so what you need to do here, I need to use std :. So only thing is that you need to give the reference that these standard input output devices are defined in a area which is called as namespace, and it is identified in program by using this name which is named as std. Is this okay? Moving ahead. So this is a simple program which is going to display a message onto the screen. So whatever you are going to include in double quotes, it is a string which is been redirected to the output screen. So what is the output stream in your program? It is your computer monitor or a laptop monitor. So your program will be saved with .cpp extension. It will be compiled, which is going to produce the which is going to create the object file, a executable file, and that file will be executed and you will be getting the output welcome to CPP. So here if you go for this, let's say this program is written, you will run this program and you will get the output as hello world onto the output screen. So hello world is the output, right? As this is the online compiler, so where this output is redirected to this text box. If you go to command prompt, on the command prompt you are able to see the output. If you go for Eclipse editor, then in the console window you are going to get the output. So it is dependent on which type of mode, which type of platform you are using for compiling and for executing the program. So the single line comment, preprocessor directive, function main appears exactly once in the program, means you cannot define two main functions in a given program. Even if you change the return type, so this int is nothing but the return type of a program. Even if I change this, you cannot write two main functions in a given program, because this is the entry point. So if I write two main in the function in the single program, then compiler will get confused either to go to which main function. So there has to be only one main function in a given program. Main function starts with the opening curly braces and ends with the closing curly braces. If you miss any one of it, you will get the compiler error. So this is the syntax. Every C++ sentence ends with a semicolon except loops, and that too in case of do while loop you will require a semicolon. You will come to know what is mean by loop and what are the detailing of these syntaxes once we move ahead with the syllabus. Next is this, just now I have told that the C++ is included in a namespace which is written as std. These are some special escape sequences. So if I want to insert a new line at the end of each line, then /n is used. So this /n is called as a new line character. /t is horizontal tab. So instead of giving multiple spaces by using space key, what you can do is you can just say /t. The number of spaces will be included between two words. /r carriage return, enter key, A. It is going to give you a beep or a alert. If you want to print slash, then it has to be escaped with a escape sequence \. And if you want to insert double quotes into the string, then it has to be included using /. So this is what is mean by, what is mean by this, that I'll tell you, / double quotes. So if I want this hello world to be printed in double quotes, then this way you need to give, and it has to be like this. So if I compile this, if I run this, online compilers are auto saved. So directly you need to compile, directly you need to run this program. See, now previously we were having output as just plain hello world. Now if I want to include the double quotes, then it has to be escaped using escape sequence / and double quotes, right? So this is about escape sequences. Moving ahead. So the use of escape sequences /n C++ exclamation mark. So the output which I want to print is welcome to CPP, but in between /n, /n we have added. So after that, whichever is the line remaining, that is onto the next line. So welcome is on the first line, 2 is on the second line, and after 2 there are 2 /n's, means 2 new lines are inserted, empty lines are inserted, and after that the remaining statement is included, and after that again /n, means whatever you are going to print, that will come on to the next line, otherwise it will come on to the same line. Let me demonstrate this. See, what is mean by, or what is the significance of and /n, that I will tell you. Let's say I want to print, let's say we'll go for hello world only. For today's programming we will see only hello world. So hello world end with semicolon. This is going to print a simple hello world, right? It is going to print a plain hello world. Now what I'll do, I will show you the use of escape sequences. I have copy pasted it. So I will say / double quotes here, / double quotes. Next is, again I'll copy paste it. I will say /n, then let's say /t, tab space, and then I'll say hi, and I'll execute this program. So what will happen? You will get output as hello world, again hello world, and then hello world and hi. Now everything has come onto the single line till /n, the escape sequence new line comes, right? Now what I will do is, I will say /n over here, /n after this also. So with this, what will happen? Hello world will be printed, new line will be inserted. This double quotes hello world will be printed, new line will be inserted, and then finally this output will be printed. So it is, we'll execute this, we'll see, here is the output. So this is what is mean by escape sequences, which you will be frequently using in the program. Now about the variables. Now what is mean by variable? First of all, which has the different values at a particular moment. Meaning, if I say 2 is a constant, I cannot say 2 is 3 or 2 is equal to 3. I cannot say like that. Getting me? See, here if I say if I say 2 equal to 3, it will be a wrong statement because a constant value cannot be assigned to another constant value. Constant means what? Which is not going to change at all. And variable means what? A value is going to be changed at a particular moment. So if I say NO, or in more clearer way, var1. So what is var1? It is a variable. This can have 1, 2, 3 as a value, but at a time single value. This can have 1.1, 2.3, 4.6, but single value at a time. Or it can have A, B, C characters, or it can have string also, meaning var equal to, it can have var equal to 1, or it can have 2, or it can have 3. Or if I say var 1.1, 2.1, 3.1, or what it can have? It can have this way also, A, B, C also, or var1 equal to ABC, PQR, etc. So this indicates that these are all the integer values, these are all float values, these are all characters, single characters, single alphabets from our English dictionary, and these are nothing but the strings. Strings means what? A group of characters, right? What does mean by string? A group of character. Your name is a string wherein your division is a character, means you belong to division A, or you can belong to division B or C or D, like this, right? So how to differentiate these kind of data? So in order to differentiate this data in a programming language, the different data types are mentioned, and those data types for C++ are integer, character, float or double. Based on the storing capacity, it is int, long int, float, double and character data type. So how do you declare the variable? First of all, you need to mention integer, int as a keyword followed by a variable name. So this variable name is a user created variable. You can give any XYZ name. But for a particular language, there are some naming convention rules. So what are the naming convention rules? At the time of giving variable name, you should not start a variable name with a number. There should not be any space between the variables, in between the variable, but you can use underscore, means I can say var underscore 1, but I cannot say variable name as 1 var. I can say var1. And variable name should not be too big to memorize to you, meaning the variable name should be less than or equal to 8 characters. Otherwise what will happen? That variable will be truncated somewhere by the compiler. So the variable name you should keep such that it will be remembered by you easily. You should not use cryptic variable names. So if I want to perform addition of two numbers, so what should be the variable names? N1, N2, NO1, NO2, or var1, var2, like that, right? If I want to declare the variables of similar data type, then it can be declared using comma separation. So int, integer 1, integer 2, sum. So this is about variable declaration. The rules are variable it should be a valid identifier, series of characters, can be a letter, can be a digit, or if you want to add any special symbol, it has to be only underscore or series of underscores you can give. Cannot begin with a digit. As I told you, I cannot start any variable name with a digit. And the C++ variables are case sensitive, meaning if I say integer small a and if I say integer capital A, both are different. So if I say integer a comma integer capital A, both are different. They are allocated with a separate memory into the computer. So this is what does mean by case sensitive is. But I cannot say a comma a. It is going to give you redeclaration error, right? Now the next is some operators. Input stream operator, which is used with cin, which is used to take the data or user input from the standard input device. For your computer, the standard input device is keyboard. So whatever you type, that will be stored into the memory. But before storing into the memory, it is first given to the symbolic constant, and that is nothing but the variable. So if I want some data to be taken from user, then I will say cin a. So this cin a, you are going to take the value from the user. It is redirected to a variable a, and then somewhere into the main memory it will be stored, and that memory will be the addressed memory. Hexadecimal addresses are there. Assignment operator, you might be knowing this. It is used to assign some value to a variable. So if I say a equal to 2, constant 2 is assigned to a variable a. For the next time, if I say a equal to 3, then this way. Let's say a equal to 2, meaning a is assigned to 2, and if I say a equal to 3, then a is assigned 3 is assigned to 2, 3 is assigned to a, sorry. So at the time of execution of this, at this particular moment, value of a is 2. At this particular moment, value of a is 3. So a constant can be assigned to a variable, but vice versa is not true. Because to constant I cannot assign anything, meaning I cannot say 2 equal to a. This is totally invalid statement, invalid expression. I cannot say a variable to be assigned to a constant. I cannot say 2 as 3. So assignment operator, to assign the value, either you can perform some operation and the result you can assign to a variable, or directly constant you can assign. So program will see directly onto the compiler for practice purpose. Let's say I want to perform addition of two numbers. I know for some of the students it might be very easy, but to begin with any programming language, some simple program need to be tried. So integer, let's say n1, n2, these are the two variables. To these two variables, I can take the values. There are number of ways to take the input. Either you hard code the value for these variables into the program, execute the program. But what is the difficulty with this hard coding? Now, first of all, what is mean by hard coding is, I'll say n1 is equal to 10, n1 is equal to 10, n2 is equal to 20, and I can say cout n1 plus n2. So here directly I can get the result. So the result will be addition of those two numbers. I will be getting as 30. But if I want addition of different two numbers, let's say 50, 50, then what I need to do, every time I need to open the program, do the changes, execute the program. So every time compilation is required. So this overhead is going to be increased. So how to avoid this? Give the user input. So how will give the user input? By using cin. So cin n1 n2. So this cin object allows user to give the input and will be stored into the variables, namely n1 and n2. So we'll see this. So we require the custom input. So input will be 30, 40, sorry, we'll re-execute this program. $30, $50 and so we'll get the output as 80. In the previous execution, by mistake I have not used the enter key. By mistake some another key was pressed, so we have got the output as the concatenated string. So here n1 is 30, n2 is 50, input is this, output is 80, right? So this is one way of giving the input. What is the other way? By using command line arguments. We are having a special topic on command line arguments in the next subsequent units. At that time we will see thoroughly what is meant by command line arguments. So this is how you can run a simple CPP program. So this slide indicates that only. We'll move ahead. In C++, some arithmetic calculations are done using the operators multiplication. So if I want to multiply two or more numbers, this asterisk symbol is used for multiplication. For division, the slash symbol is used. This integer division is going to evaluate to 1. So 7 by 5 is going to give you 1 as answer, and the floating point will be truncated. So this is going to give you a quotient. And if I want a remainder of the division, then the modulo symbol is used. So if I say 7 mod 5, then remainder, it is going to return remainder as a value, not the quotient. So this is division and this is modulo operator. The difference is both are going to divide one number by other, but the division slash is going to return you a quotient, wherein modulo operator is going to give you remainder. Precedence of operator. Precedence means in what way the particular operator is going to operate. So if I include anything in the bracket, then either it is going to be executed from left to right or from right to left. That is going to be decided by the precedence rule. So operators in the parenthesis are evaluated first. Simple mathematical rules: nested and embedded parenthesis, operators in the innermost pair will be executed first. Then the multiplication, division, modulo applied next. Means after the parenthesis, if you are having any one of these operators, that will be evaluated next. Operator applied from left to right. From left to right the operators will be executed. And addition subtractions is having the least priority. Now we'll see what is mean by this precedence example. Let's say if I say 2 plus 3 in bracket 4 multiply by 5. So in this particular statement, suppose here division, 4 into 5 will be executed first because it is parenthesis. So the preference, the priority will be given to the parenthesis. This will be executed first. Now after evaluation, what will be the partially output? It will be this way, right? So now in this particular statement we are not having any parenthesis, so which will be executed? The next preference will be given to the division operator. So 2, 3 by 20, whatever may be the result of 3 by 20, that will be added with 2. Now consider that instead of division, let's say here it is plus. And so after this here also it will be a plus. So if there are two plus symbols, then the precedence will be from left to right. So this is how the precedence rule evaluates. Then you are having more C++ statements as if, equality, relational operators, and associate operators from left to right. Meaning, if is a control structure, if you want to decide what to be done on a particular condition, then this if is used. If or if else structure. Meaning, let's say, suppose I have declared one variable integer n, and suppose n value is 0. N is equal to 0. So if you are having n equal to 0, then you are going to print as 0. Else you are going to print as non-zero. So based on this condition, any one of these statements will be executed, will be displayed. So if now here I have initialized n to 0. So this statement is called as initialization. Means at the time of declaration, if I assign any constant to a variable, then it is called as a initialization, irrespective of the data type. Now if I say float, let's say n1 equal to 2.3, then n1 is initialized to constant 2.3. Similar for character, similar for double, right? So if n equal to 0, equal to, this is equality. If this so this bracket is called as condition. Or if this condition is true, meaning I'm sorry, 0 will be printed, otherwise non-zero will be printed. So if I say here 11, if I say 11, then this won't be executed, this will be executed. We'll see. So you are going to get output as non-zero, right? So this is what is mean by condition, equality operator, relational operator. So these are some of the operators: less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. This is equal to, not equal to. And C++, greater than or equal to, it is mathematical representation, and this is C++ representation. The meaning is same. So for evaluating the condition, this can be used. Using statement, we have seen this. We have seen program also. So here in this program, what is done? Here it is checked whether the two numbers are similar or not. So what is been done? Two variables are declared, num1 and num2. Two values are taken from the user, C in num1, num2. If num1 double equal to num2, the numbers are equal. And if num1 not equal to num2, numbers are not equal. Instead of these two if statements, you can use else also. If else, numbers are not equal. This is about the if statement: less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So all relational operators, equality operators, example we have seen. Now the thing is, you have understood how to write a program, where to write the program, when you will get the output, how to provide the input, that everything you are known now. But the basic thing is how we are getting the output. And from the time you give the input till you get the output is the process of compiling and linking. So that we will see. And you can say that these are the phases of C++ program. Edit means you can write or you can modify the program. Pre-process, include the header files using the preprocessor directive. Compile, if you want any external linking to your program. So this linking is optional. For our small applications, this linking is not required. Loading, load the program into the executable memory. and finally execute and get the output, right? So we'll see one by one. Editor, it is onto the disk, meaning onto the secondary device, secondary storage, we are writing the program. After the program is written, it is error free, then the compilation process starts. But before compilation, all the header files, necessary things which are required to compile the program are included into the program. Then comes the compiler. For different programming languages, there are different compilers. For C++, you are having GCC compiler, right? Then for C program, you are having Turbo C, TC++, these compilers. For Java C, Java program, Java C is the compiler. So based on different programming languages, compilers are different. Then comes linking. If you want external library to be linked with your program, then this linker part come into the picture. Otherwise, it is not required. And even though it is not required, in order to generate the object file, the executable file, linking will be done. Loader, where we have written our program into the secondary device, but for execution it has to be into the main memory. So the loader is the module which is going to load our program which is present in the secondary device into the primary memory, main memory, and then finally we are going to get the output. So these are the different phases, writing from editing of the program till you get the final output onto the screen. So what you can use for writing C++ program? If you are on Unix or Linux platform, then the Eclipse is the default editor which has been provided. Then if you are using Windows operating system, then you can go for Turbo C or Borland C++. Visual C++, you can go for .NET also, you can go for NetBeans also, you can go for Eclipse also, or you can go for online compilers also. But better to go for offline compilers. Once loaded onto the machine, even though there is no net connectivity, you can make use of those compilers. So if you are going for the command prompt execution, then open the command prompt, use this command gcc or g++ plus symbol program name.cpp. Hit the enter key, you will get the output. Example gcc hello.cpp. After hitting enter key, after this you will get output as hello. So this is all about the overview of C++. Till this time we have not gone into the object oriented programming. We have seen only plain CPP programming. So in the next lecture we'll go with the basics of CPP. Thank you.